This is R2G Rally Radio. For the latest in on-event rally news.
Good afternoon and welcome to your 2 o'clock summary of the morning's action on day 5 of the Silver Fern Rally for 2024. Cars have left Timaru after 2 nights there, ultimately finishing up in Dunedin today. And the first news to convey is the unfortunate cancellation that's been brought about of the Danzies Pass stage due to roadworks going on in there and the road construction equipment still being in the road. Has made it unsafe to run by the rally competition today. So unfortunately, one of our signature stages has had to be cancelled today. So the cars will do this afternoon. Will do the Coal Pit and Paradise Valley stage, and then turn south and head down towards Dunedin to just out of Palmerston to do the Stoneburn stage before finishing up in Forsyth Bar Stadium for their end-of-day flexi service tonight. But as far as the competition goes, we've had 4 rapid-fire back-to-back stages this morning between Timaru and the Glenavy Domain Service Park, which is underway as I compile this report. And yet again, it's James Ford who is he's actually increased his lead from just over 7 minutes at the start of the day to 7.5 minutes over Robbie Stokes. But he hasn't had it all his own way. He was only 8th fastest. He's won 2 of the stages, the first one and the latest Myers Pass stage, to increase that lead. However, on Parker's Bush, he was only the 8th fastest there, and Robbie Stokes was also only 7th. So whether there was something at that particular time those cars went through the stage, but Nathan Quinn recorded his first stage win of the rally in there. And similarly on stage 36, Jeff Judd, who of course has recovered from going off the road late in the day yesterday, his Magnum Motorsport Escort fully repaired by his fantastic team, and he and Stefan Prevost have gone fastest on stage 36. So as it stands at the moment, James Ford for the day, James Ford is just 2.7 seconds ahead of Nathan Quinn, having taken 11 seconds out of Quinn on that long stage 37, the reverse run of Myers Pass with an extended finish from where they started yesterday. And so as a result of that, James Ford has grabbed the league advantage by just 2.7 seconds. Robert Goff doing a fantastic job in his Ford Escort is just 3 seconds, 3.4 slower after those first 4 stages. Then Robbie Stokes is another 13 back. Roger Chilman just 3.6 further back. And Jeff Judd another 8.5 behind, with Ali Mackay, also one of our rejoining drivers from earlier in the rally, in his Mark 1 Escort doing a great job, 7.2 down. So that's a good competition. Bit of mixed weather today, off and on showers. That started off dusty. In fact, the cars left Timaru at minute intervals, but by the time they got to the first stage, the call was made to dispatch them at 2-minute gaps. And showers around the Waimati area, which is the stages west of there today, has been enough to temper the dust. And so nowhere near in voluminous dust that they started off this morning. But again, things we'll have to see obviously how the weather transpires. But back to the leaderboards for you, which of course is the overall news that you're wanting to hear. And James Ford, as I mentioned, it now leads Robbie Stokes, because of course the other news, which you have already probably caught up with through Facebook and other posts, the Chris Sport results system, that both Dean Buist and Marcus van Klink are retired from the rally due to engine problems in both the Palmside Escort for Dean Buist and the Mazda RX-7 for Marcus van Klink. So unfortunately, a couple of our leading of course, Dean did it. His engine just didn't have the power and appeared to be down on compression. One of the messages he sent through to me indicated, but he was still fast enough to go and win the leg yesterday on his return after dropping out over Arthur's Pass on the way back from the West Coast back on Monday morning. And Marcus, of course, did grab the lead when James Ford had that problem trying to get out of or clear of the Askins Road Ford yesterday when he had the back end of his car in a single wheel drive. But he's bounced back well and truly, and great work by his team to replace that back end mechanicals, and he's certainly gone hard since then and has very much restored his lead with the demise of Marcus van Klink, and then of course Jeff Judd late yesterday getting stuck off the road down a bank near the end of of stage 33. So as it stands at the moment, as I say, just back to the top, James Ford leads Robbie Stokes by 7 minutes 28.2. It's a minute 43 back to Robert Goff, who has continued to have an exceptional time. In third place, Roger Chilman, 27.6 back. Then the Porsche of Chris Rosenberg are now fifth overall, 28.1 behind Chilman. Shane Murland now sixth, a steady rise up through the overall standings, now a minute 56 down on Rosenberger. Charlie Evans in the Mazda RX-7 at 2 minutes 54.2 behind Murland. And then Bonamy Grimes in the other Viking Escort is in 8th place, a minute 3.6 behind Charlie Evans. Just scrolling the screen a little, then it's the battle of the Porsches again. In fact, the battle of the Porsches and the Lancia, because 9th now Alan Dippy has got ahead of Philip Kaduri. He was actually delayed by about 2 or 3 minutes in one of the earlier stages this morning, but the Lancia is safely into the Glenavy service now. So Dippy is 9th, having got in front of Kaduri by 4.2 seconds, and then it's 1 minute 49 back to the third Porsche of Evgeny Karev from Cyprus. Jeff Judd is climbing back up the leaderboard. He's made up 2 or 3 placings during the day so far today with his run of good stage times. He's been, He's been 10th on the first one, so obviously just winding in, so then 3rd, 1st and 6th on the other 3 stages today. And he's now 12th overall, 26 minutes down, with the penalty times, of course, for missing or going off in the last stage. And so he is at 26 minutes and 2 seconds behind the leader, now 4.5 minutes behind Karev. He's got ahead of the Spanish driver Alonso, who is 13th in his Escort, 45 seconds. Then it's 26 seconds back to, 33 seconds back to Andrew Siddle in 15th. Then Brandon James comes next, followed by Richard Spink, Ian Dobson, Ken McDonald. Brian Green completes the top 20. And then we track on down with the Class B leader David Young in his Escort Mexico. Scott O'Donnell is 22nd. Steve Cox continues to lead Class A in the Starlet, although he did have an electrical problem early in the first stage this morning that cost him a bit of time, but it still hasn't broken into his class lead or affected his class lead, and is pretty much his overall placing still 23rd. Tony Jardine, car 36, is 24th. Then comes the Talbot Lotus Sunbeam of Julian Burley in 25th place. Chris Ford is 26th. Ali Mackay, again, we're into the rejoins now, as I keep mentioning. 27th for Ali Mackay. Nathan Quinn, 28th. Andy Martin, 29th. Keith Stewart, after his clutch problem yesterday, has restarted today. He's 30th. And then Bruce Farley, who I think I saw on a Facebook post, is on his 4th gearbox in the Datsun B510. He has just got ahead of Ben Howlett in the Chrysler Avenger, 31st to 32nd. And Joshua Hilton, 33rd, car number 33. That's good seating in the Celica. And Merv Hatcher, who's had a pretty troubled run with diffs and the like in the Mitsubishi Starion, he's in 34th place now. And William Midgley, who we had rejoin us at the last stage last night, is our final classified car in the Corolla in 35th place. Remembering, of course, as to the retirements now from the rally, we have listed Dean Buist, Marion Evans, Marcus Van Klink, Darren Snooks and Peter Sharmack. Now, as far as just a quick variation is to show the justification for the lead, the 7-minute lead that James Ford has built up. He's won no fewer than 22 of the stages that have been run so far. Third on 2 and second on 3 and third. He was for 3 times, basically just very, very consistent in his performances. Marcus Van Klink is the next highest ranked performer with 8 special stage wins. Robbie Stokes has won 2, Jeff Judd 1, Dean Buist 1 and Nathan Quinn 1. So again, James Ford certainly proving his mettle and of consistency. Onto the challenge, and again the Chris Ramsey, Dave Strong fight continues. Unfortunately, Dave isn't quite making the inroads into that 6 minutes deficit that he's suffered due to the 2 punctures back on day 1. And in fact, he was a little bit slower through that Myers Pass stage. The most recent stage dropped 30 seconds to Rambo. And so Rambo's margin is back out to 6 minutes 42 as they go to the Glenavy Domain for the lunchtime service. Richard Galley actually faster than Dave Strong in that stage by some 5.2 seconds as well. He's holding a good 3rd place, although Phil Thomas is keeping him honest. Galley is 2 minutes 30 behind Dave Strong. But Phil Thomas continues to hang on to Galley's coattails, 22.5 behind the BMW. Carl Celeste still in 5th place. Again, not too many changes on the overall standings. Austin Jones is in 6th. We've unfortunately lost Daniel Alexander this morning. He and Waverley Jones were a bit too quick into a tricky left-hander and slid off the road on the outside and got stuck. And apparently need mechanical repairs, subframe repairs, so they're on their way to Dunedin to get that done, and the plan is to rejoin tomorrow. So behind Austin Jones, who's 29 seconds down on Carl Celeste, it's 21 minutes back to Chris Paddon in the Toyota Levin. Michael Ward is next in his Levin. Andrew Lowe is up into 9th place, and Daniel Alexander, now with his penalty time for missing the stages this morning, is down in 10th place. Overall, 20 minutes now ahead of Brian Van Eck in the Toyota Altezza. And of course, yesterday we lost, earlier on in the rally over the weekend, we lost Ross Yendall. And this morning, Ed Mulligan apparently off the road right near the end of the first stage of the morning, and the damage sustained to the BMW too much for him to be able to continue, so he is retired as well. And just quickly summarising, of course, our four-wheel drive classic rally, Ben Huben still the runaway leader there, now out to 28 minutes ahead of Tom Milliken in his similar Impreza H6. So Ben Huben continues to impress, and I think he's sitting somewhere in the top 10 in the overall, if you put everything together, the overall standings. So great run for Ben Huben in the Magnum Motorsport H6, and long may that continue. So as I say, I've given you the rundown. They're off basically heading west after this particular stage, heading to the 19k coal pit stage, which is due to start, will be running when you're listening to this report. And similarly, Paradise Gully follows on straight after that. So there's 40k of roads heading towards Danzies Pass, which unfortunately we won't be able to use. So the cars will swing south from Paradise Gully and head directly to Stoneburn, which they're due to start at 5 to 5. And then after that, it's on into from 6:15. Forsyth Bar Stadium will be the venue for the flexi service before the cars are put to bed for another night. And again, we'll look forward to being in touch with you to wrap things up. Hopefully we can get something in. We should have some stage results for you in time for 7 o'clock. So this stage, that's pretty much it for now. Hopefully the weather holds off and the guys can continue and the dust doesn't become too much of a problem as they head west on these next two stages. But as I say, we're hopefully back at 7 o'clock with an update for you. This is Chris Grant at the Chris Sport Results Service.
Day 5 Silver Fern Rally 2024. South of Timaru this morning, Blue Creek Road, aren't we, Hayden? Hayden Paddon sitting out here on the side of the road. This isn't your usual location to be, but Silver Fern Rally, no doubt you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, no, it's been, 4 days so far? Day 5 now? It's been a long 4 days, I'll tell you that much. Jesus Christ. I reckon I'm more exhausted with what we've been doing over the last 4 days than what you would normally be, so... But no, enjoying it. Dad's loving it. So, yeah, it's been a pretty cool experience so far.
Now, setting a bit of a scene, you've grown up with tools. You've very much been very hands-on this week on the tools and the cars. How many cars are you looking after?
Just the two for the whole 7 days, so Andy and Dad. And then we had a third car for the 2-day rally at the start. So... yeah, if you count the service vehicles too, they've been giving us a few problems this week, so you can say we've had multiple cars, but that's all part of the adventure, I think. If it was an easy week, I think it'd be boring. So we've certainly had a few challenges and technical things on the cars, but yeah, they're all still going.
Now, we say we're actually on the side of the road. It's all very quiet and calm, but obviously in the background, things are going on. What are you finding is the hardest part to keep up with on this event?
Just things are always changing and you have to adapt. So most teams will have 2 or 3 chase cars because with these older cars, you do need to have parts or fuel on standby after every stage. So it's quite different to our normal central service park. So we're covering a lot of distance, and the cars are often taking a shortcut to get to places where the service vehicles have to go the long way around. So that's why we've got to have them dotted around the place. And as I say, like yesterday, we had to react. Dad had a little off-road incident, so we had to then try and get a service vehicle up to another stage where we weren't going to have a service spot, and try and make sure we can make some running repairs and keep them going. And it's just about adapting and making repairs on the fly. And it was pretty cool in that respect.
Now, we're pretty used to the scenery around these here parts, and at this time of year, it's a pretty special time of year as we come into summer. from an international or a European perspective, you can probably understand why they like coming here at this time. Have you had any interests of teams that would actually like to engage your services for the future and do this?
It's not something we've explored a lot, but even just driving from the west coast over to the east coast there over the last couple of days ago, that scenery for anyone coming in from Europe or overseas to be driving through those on those long road sections in a rally car, it's got to be pretty spectacular. So New Zealand's pretty unique, and that's before you even get to the rally stages. So for sure, hopefully if people come down this way in the future, then I think we've got people and infrastructure to run such a rally. So just got to keep branching out and expanding.
Al, how many instances have you had fans coming along and going, is it not? Is it really Hayden? What's he doing out here? He looks out of place.
Oh, thanks. I don't know about out of place, but obviously seen a lot of people around the service park and everything. And the problem is when people want to have a chat and talk when you're on tools and you're busy, it makes it hard to be able to do both at the same time. So I'm just, it's like anything. You get in a zone, and I think this is no different whether you're driving or working on a car. When you're a technician, you get in a zone or trying to fix a car and get the car out on time and everything. So it's quite cool for me to experience what our guys experience on the other side of the fence, because if anything, it's just as exhilarating. There's just as much pressure, so it just helps you respect it in a different way.
And I think that's also a hidden reality that we're all having to be reminded of, is that while we're out here, the time we spend is pretty short, and that the people we catch up with, that it's not quality time that, we're going to see them, we'll see them at the next break. You just never know when you can catch up with the next person. It's been 5 days since we've actually had a chat, as an example of how fluid, how quickly things change. Hayden, is there anyone that you're looking to try and catch up with out here and haven't crossed paths with?
A lot of our international guests that are over here, a lot of familiar faces here. Phil Mills is out here, Marion Evans, lots of people we've seen on the other side of the world. So, like you say, it's been so busy, you haven't actually been able to see them on our home turf yet. But I'm sure by the time we get to the finish, like these in the morning, like right now, is sort of the calm before the storm. You have sort of 5-10 minutes to take a breather. Once the cars start coming by, then the schedule for the day gets pretty packed. But hopefully come the finish, obviously finishing at Dad's Vineyard at Paddon's Paddock, the family vineyard. Hopefully we can catch up with a few people for some wines on Friday afternoon.
Excellent, sounds good. Thank you very much, Hayden. We'll enjoy Friday afternoon. So lunchtime service, day 5, Silver Fern Rally 2024. Scott O'Donnell, is it our ears are getting more sensitive, or the exhaust note on your RX3 is getting a little louder?
Yes, it's the only car that requires resource consent, I think, at the event. But we're on muffler number 2, so that was brand new on Saturday, and that got blown to bits by Sunday. New one on Monday, so we're getting through mufflers at quite a rate. It is a bit of a nuclear reactor, the old rotary. It's sort of on off a bit, but it does seem to go a whole lot better when there's not much back force. The new muffler seemed to constrain the revs to about 8,000, but with blown through one you can use a lot more.
Interesting story. But overall, as far as where you are placed on the road, there's still a long way to go. You're doing okay.
Look, yesterday wasn't a good day for us. At the end of the Hakateramea stage, we got through the stage okay and just took off to go and cruise to the next thing, and either the pan hard rod had broken exactly there or at the end of the stage, and of course the back end's wobbling. Got that fixed in Kurau for a very good local serviceman there in the garage. We thought we would lose some stages, but we managed to get onto the back of the train and we're starting behind all the fast cars, so we're effectively starting car -0, I suppose you'd say. But we've got a 15-minute penalty for turning up late, so it's obviously given our overall time a bit of a hard run. Got through that stage okay, and then we've had just a multitude of distributor problems. We've been through about 3 or 4 rotors and rotor caps, to the point where the rotor's actually exploding inside the cap, which happened about 400 metres from the stage after, about 32 I think it was. Yeah, didn't quite get to this car, obviously it absolutely died, looked over the brow and here's the finish, couldn't quite get to the finish. So we've had some challenges, but we're on there, we've done every stage, we're having fun, we're smiling, and we're in the South Island.
And there's really only so many rotor caps and arms that you can carry with you, but is it now a known issue that you will carry more spares?
we've had about 4 or 5 in the car at all times just to make sure. We normally carry spark plugs as well, but we gave those to Clinky at the start of 31 because he's having all sorts of dramas, but obviously spark plugs weren't his dramas, as you can see. It's a bit of a weak point at this stage. We've got a bit of a cunning plan, I think, after the event to perhaps remove the whole issue.
Ooh, okay, interesting. Scott, thank you very much. It's been never easy for anyone, and good to hear your side of the story. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Shane Murland, you've been around as long as rallying in New Zealand goes in a few events. You're back at another one. As far as the pace up the front and what you're trying to achieve, are you on track?
We were until that last stage. The guy in front of us got a puncture and he didn't stop to change it and carried on, and we lost about a minute and a half in there. So that sort of buggered us a wee bit now. We dropped that minute and a half, and we were there's about 4 of us that were fairly close. We were trying to sort of just make inroads into that, but
still you got 2 and a bit days to go.
Yeah, well that's right. But there's a couple of stages cancelled this afternoon, I believe, so we're getting less and less stages to be able to make any time up. So I think it's pretty much game, set and match now.
Again, going back to the marathon or endurance aspect, your strategy moving forward, you had that little tussle going on. What would you normally advise yourself when you're in this position?
Softly catchy monkey. We never really had the strategy. We knew we weren't going to be on the pace this year. Just get that little bit older and a little bit slower. So really, you've got to look at it as being the long game. It's a very long rally, very hard, it's just hard on the gear, hard on the body. So you've just got to keep it clean. Try and minimise your lost time.
All right, well, thank you very much for that. We look forward to catching up with you before the finish, and you can let us know how that played out.
Yeah, well, here's hoping we'll get to the finish. Thanks.
Brian Stokes, you're leaning up on the side of the ute. It's like you've seen it all before. What's your recount of day 5 of the Silver Fern Rally 2024?
Oh, actually, I've been a bit crook, to be honest, so I'm just sort of driving around on the fringes, hoping the team's doing a good job, which they are, and we've got a wee issue at the moment with the starter motor, I think, but hopefully we're all good.
So as long as he doesn't stop, he doesn't need it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
As far as your results in the past, to have him in that position at the moment, it must be a pretty neat feeling.
Oh, I mean, it's a big game of strategy and patience, and I think we're doing really well, and it's great for Robbie and Amy and the whole team. We're just a little wee team this week, and especially coming off the national championship, and we've prepared as best we can, but we're doing pretty good, I reckon.
Absolutely, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Robbie Stokes, day 5, there's obviously a lot going on. Just talking to your dad, you're in an amazing position, but it hasn't always gone to plan today.
Today, we got out of Park for May, all going well, and got in the first stage. Felt the brakes didn't feel quite as they were yesterday. So maybe we were standing on them a bit harder yesterday, just learning the car, but the brakes didn't feel too good, so we just decided to back off in the first 3 until we could get a bit more service time to bleed the brakes, and found some air in the left rear and got that out, and away it went in Myers, so all good now.
Now you've had to push the car into service, which isn't really a sign of a big problem, but it's obviously not the best position to be in.
Oh, just a typical escort. Everyone says the starter motors sometimes go on them. It's just part of rallying, part of the escorts, but no major. We'll be going again.
Now there's still a reasonable way to go, and you're in a very, 7 minutes is the gap, but still anything can happen. You've proven that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. I'm a rally driver at the end of the day. I like driving, so backing too much off is hard, I think. But don't overdrive either, so it's just finding that happy medium, which I think we found through Myers Pass. That was really good. Felt the tyres going off towards the end of it, but that was actually quite good. Learned quite a lot in there, so I sort of know how long the tyres will last before they go off, which is very helpful.
Always learning. Thank you, Robbie. Looking forward to seeing what happens in the next two.
Cool, thank you.